Blog Talk Radio.
Here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.
Hello, world. This is T.J. Morris, also known as Theresa J. Morris, psychic, Ascension psychic here. And while I'm studying on my spiritual journey, I've met a lady named Suzanne Wyman-Flynn in California. We didn't meet in person. We actually met in cyberspace. And normally we'll have a lot of people waiting, but I was late today. Actually, I have a deal with time and space, and last I looked, it was 11:49. I started reading because I love to study, and lo and behold, but I kept sending Suzanne a message to call me, and she did. She's the one that got me to show up today. So I'm not sure what we're going to do today because this may not be a good time for everybody since I was late, which may be one thing, and no one is here to read. So I'm going to have to just have Suzanne come on here and entertain us on our spiritual journey that will be out there for all the world to hear and see while we learn about each other. So let me get Suzanne on here. Suzanne Wyman-Flynn of California. Always been of California, haven't you?
I have. TJ, how are you today? Thank you for having me on the show. And I actually have the show written. I actually wrote a show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
my.
We're all set. So I've got a topic, and I've got my sources, and I've got it all written out. So we're set to go.
Whoa, that's amazing. Well, good. This is our first show, October 1st, so we're going to try something with me and Suzanne being a sender and receiver. And this is a journey, folks. It's also, I guess you could say, a quantum test with the absolute, everything outside of time and space, because I apparently stay out there. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I have to have somebody, cast a net and reel me in so I can be in a 3D reality. I don't know if that's because of my out-of-body experiences, my near-death experiences, or some people think I'm programmed working with the government, but I never did MK Ultra. I did Majestic, and my name was Magic. But let's turn the show over to Suzanne, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her, because even though I pay for all the tools, and I don't mind doing that for American Communications Online, if I have someone that enjoys my company. So that's the only reason I'm showing up, is because Suzanne seems to want to follow up on this. So Suzanne, it's October 1st, 2020. You take it away. We have absolutely nobody on the board. It could be the universe set it up that way because I happen to believe in God as the absolute or the all that is. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and you wrote something, so let's see what we're going to do today. Let's see what it develops into over time. Maybe the universe can use it. And I'm going to call in on the other show.
Okay.
But I'll be listening while I'm calling in, because I have to set this phone for just keeping us online.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So I'm going to talk about the concept of psychometry, and it was a concept that was written and defined by a man by the name of Joseph Rhodes Buchanan, and it means the measuring of the soul. So I think a lot of people have seen psychometrization done, or they think that they understand what psychometry is, and they actually haven't gone through any formal training for the process. And so psychometry is the reading of an inanimate object and taking that information and then doing a reading for a person. And so the common objects used for psychometrization is cell phone, keys, photograph, signature, and jewelry. So each one of those, and if you're somebody who's gone to a lot of different psychics, you probably at some point or another have had somebody ask you, can I hold your keys? So when you use your keys, you're using those keys to open up different points of entry. And, obviously in the concept of metaphysics, we don't really believe any door is ever locked to us. And so when you put together a key, you're taking and opening it, and it is open to you. So it holds a ton of information, because think about the process that you go through when you take out that key and you open a door. Everybody has a cell phone today. That is my favorite object to use for a reading of psychometrization, is to hold somebody's cell phone, because everybody talks on the cell phone. Everybody sends messages, and I don't look at the cell phone. In fact, somebody could place it inside of a fabric bag and hand it to me, and I could read the cell phone from inside that bag. Photographs, everybody, of course, understands the theory of a photograph. A photograph is, it captures your image, and of course we all have that information that we were given when we were quite young, that indigenous people did not want their photograph taken because they believed that they would lose their soul. Turns out, even if they were primitive individuals, they still had a deep understanding of that there was some aspect to their soul that was captured in that process. And jewelry, of course, makes a lot of sense. You wear jewelry. Jewelry is status. Jewelry is a marker, a wedding band, a timepiece. So, and of course you wear it all the time, so it picks up a lot of your energy, and it's metal, so it's quite absorbent for energy. And then the final thing is signature, and I don't think people give much thought to their signature, and that's probably my second most common thing to use, is to have somebody take and sign their name on a piece of paper, and then I take and I write about them, holding on to that signature, and then afterwards I give them the reading, what I wrote down about them. And then of course they get to keep the piece of paper, so it's a nice way. I can't tell you how many people I've met over the years that have met with me and they said, you said exactly the same thing when I met with you years ago, and they take out this old piece of paper out of their wallet. And lo and behold, I have said almost exactly word for word the same thing. So I personally was taught by a master metaphysician named Milton Schwartz in Santa Monica, California. And he started me on the journey of understanding how to use psychometrization. And he had a little visualization technique, and that you sit down and you imagine that your nose is gold and your left hand is green, and then you hold the object, and then you just trust the imagery that comes to you. And a lot of different things happen in that process. Some people have a very visual experience, and I think that one of the most important parts of that process is learning how to decipher what you're actually seeing. So, if I take an object and the first thing I see is water, I know that this is a person who has a lot of emotions going on. So, and then I'll look for the next sign. And the next sign, might be a color. And so the next color would tell me, oh, this is where the information is being held. It's being held in the first chakra. And so on and so forth, until you build a story. But if you've been doing it for decades, you eventually are able to just assimilate that information really rapidly. So you get the imagery. You trust the imagery. As soon as you start doubting the imagery, questioning it, or trying to... Hey. TJ, are you there?
Yeah, did you invite your husband? Is 714-348 your number?
He's listening. He's listening in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Just checking. I'll go back off.
So trust the imagery that comes to you. Just really trust it. It could be visual. It could be auditory. It could be a smell. Let's put the concept of psychometrization into the most simplistic sense. It's electricity, okay? People emanate electricity, and the objects hold the electricity, and or it's an electric snapshot, if you will. So energy is electric and how a person emanates that energy is caught on the objects they use regularly. So let's say that you want somebody to do psychometry on you and do a psychometry reading for you. What's the best approach? I want you to be open. I want you to uncross your arms, and I want you to maybe step outside your comfort zone and step out of a position of where you think you know what's going on. And if you normally offer your signature or your telephone, offer a piece of jewelry. And be aware that it is a very self-conscious process, and really try to relax. When I sit down to do this process, I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with a group of people, and I'll go to do the reading on one person, and I'll tell them that, and the person sitting next to them, who's their best friend or a spouse, will say, "Oh, no, that's not true, that's not you," and the person will look at them and they go, "No, that's true, that's me." So I think in doing the process, having confidence and just saying what it is that you see and you feel is really a powerful tool, because the person sitting in front of you may not always want to admit if there's another person around, or even admit to you. I have to say that I use psychometrization in my work on a regular basis when I meet with people in person. It is my very first choice for doing cold readings. It is perhaps the most powerful tool that I have, because everybody can sign their name, everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a set of keys, everybody is wearing some small piece of jewelry on them. So I really like to say that I'm the expert on doing cold readings, because a cold reading is where you have no information about the person in front of you. You don't know anything about them. And obviously I do cold readings on the telephone, because in that situation I'm talking with somebody. I have no idea. They could give me a name that isn't theirs. They could give me an age that isn't theirs. Why they would do that, I have no idea. But basically, I'm talking with somebody on the phone. I'm just trusting that the energy that comes through is accurate, and I do the reading based on that point. So, when you're given an object and you just take, there is a what they call a free-form association process. Somebody takes and places the object inside of your hand. You hold it, and then you just start saying the things out loud that you pick up. You know, this is probably the most effective way to learn how to do it and to practice. And by the way, there's never any shortage of people to practice on, because people love to talk about themselves. So you hold the object, and then you just sort of do it, very, very quickly and very directly, trusting that process, and say exactly what you see. And when you're beginning to do the process, some of the information is more raw, and then as you get more practice at it, it gets more refined. So I do this type of a reading in a party setting, and I read about a game, which was kind of an interesting thing to read about. In France in the 1920s, they had a parlor. They called it a parlor game. Obviously, the parlor is an antiquated word which nobody even thinks about any longer. But I think today we would call the parlor the trophy room, that living room or that part of the living room which is always kept very nice, and it's only used for special occasions or for important things. And so they had this game, and what it was is that each person came in, and I do this for parties. I just did this recently for a party. You take out the same paper and the same envelopes and the pens, and each person takes and signs their name on the piece of paper, and then they seal it in the envelope, and then I have a stack of envelopes. And then what you do is you take and you hold the envelope up to your third eye, and you write down the very first the very first word that comes